Hey everybody, welcome back to Smarketing Connect's 5-minute follow-up. My name is Tom Libby. I'm one of the co-founders here of Smarketing Connect, and my guest today is one of our earlier podcast guests, David Gilman with Cognito. David, why don't you remind everybody kind of who you are and what Cognito does?
Yeah, thanks again for having me on, Tom. Just a little bit of a reminder. My name is David Gilman. I have a company called Cognito. The tagline is your company incognito? So my mission is helping companies to get recognized in unique and creative manners so they can stand out in the marketplace. Some of the few services that I do is logo design and the design of marketing collateral.
Perfect. That actually leads me directly into the question that I was going to ask you on our 5-minute follow-up, which is the logo. It's important beyond belief. Most people don't realize how important it is, and there's a lot that goes into it. Can you give us some insight? We started talking about it on the podcast a little bit, but I wanted to go a little deeper as to how and why and what you should be doing about your logo. And I'll just stop talking and let you do it because you're the expert.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that make a logo successful, but to narrow it down to some of the three most important aspects that I find is number one is you need to make a logo identifiable. All too often, a lot of logos are overcomplicated or they're not really simple, so they don't really stand out. So the secret is to kind of make a logo really simple. Some people criticize the Target logo of being too simple, but the fact is it's been done right. You can recognize that from like a half a mile away, and you instantly know who they are. And of course, you'll get to know what they stand and what they offer. So I offer people to say trim the fat. Make sure that the logo is just very simple. That way it's going to be identifiable. And then a second thing about a logo is it needs to be differentiated. So one thing I often say is too many logos are simple or they're too similar in that they're drowning in a sea of similarity. So for example, if you ever went to Google Images and typed in your industry, you might all of a sudden see like so many of the logos looking exactly the same. So for example, maybe it might be a chiropractor or a home builder or another type of company. They all look the same. So I always say, go to Google Images, type in your industry and see if you can come up with something entirely different. And that way you'll make a little bit of a better connection with your audience when you have something that's unique and representative of you and who you are. And then the third one that is often overlooked, and it's more of a technical thing, but of course it also helps in with the design aspect too, is you need to make sure that the logo has great flexibility. And what I mean by that is, again, going back to if the logo isn't designed in a simple manner, it's not going to reduce well. And most companies want to put their logos on promotional items such as a pen or hopefully someday maybe on a billboard. So I always say the logo has to work for the minute and the massive and everything in between. And then going even further is the logo is going to travel a lot of distances. It's going to be placed in many mediums. So one thing that the most common mistake I see is people don't make sure that the logo is going to be able to be put on both light and dark background of surfaces. Maybe you might be a sponsor at a trade show and you don't have any control about how that trade show sign is going to be designed, or maybe you're going to be putting your logo on a dark shirt. Well, you have to make sure that the logo can be done as what's known as a reverse, or that it can be done in all white. So it kind of reminds me of a story, and I think I may have shared it before, is we call it the black blob story, in that I was once receiving a logo, 1 out of 12 logos that I was putting along a horizontal line on the bottom of a trade show banner. And the logo was done in, it was an earth and a globe, and it was done in really dark colors. And they weren't able to supply me a reverse logo because they had never thought about that. So they got blended in the background. They were a little upset, rightfully so. And we called that the black blob logo because they didn't have a white version of it. So you got to make sure that the logo can be done in that. So again, you just want to make sure that the logo is identifiable, that it's differentiated, and it has great flexibility for the years it hopefully can endure. So those are the three things I like to point out.
That's amazing. And you basically finished with about 10 seconds left of our 5 minutes. So it's perfect timing, perfect advice, and everybody should definitely be listening to that, because if you're even if you're revamping an old logo or something like that, you should be taking some of that information into advice. So David, thank you very, very much. As always, it's my utmost pleasure to have you on, and always an awesome time talking with you and learning from you. So thank you very much, sir, for our 5-minute follow-up. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, you're welcome, Tom, and thank you for having me on as a guest. Greatly appreciate it.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.